God gave us the cure already. Sit in a car, you have heat. You come inside, you have heat. You don't really feel it. Same thing in the summer. Just imagine in the old days, like when people had to ride a donkey or a camel, or they had to go for a whole day ride in weather like this, in a desert or in places that the sand is flying into their face. Life was much, much more difficult. I always tell people, so today a person goes into the bathroom, he goes in and out, 5 minutes, everything is clean, beautiful mirror, smell, ceramic, whatever. Just imagine the richest people in the world, only 50, 70 years ago, they have to go to the field at 2 o'clock at night. If they have a bathroom, they gotta go in the bushes and sit and take pieces of grass, and that's how people were. He's the richest guy in the world, and that's how he goes to the bathroom. And that was reality, yes. Or they made a hole. Read a little bit. How do I know all this? Very simple. When we read in Judaism, you have more than 70,000 books. Among all these 70,000 books, these books that were written thousands or hundreds of years ago. And by the way, the rabbis are speaking about the way of life in the market, the laws of how to go into the bathroom, pure, not pure, to be careful from snakes. You see the way they lived. You wonder to yourself, we complain so much. Life was a picnic. Today it's a picnic compared to what it was. But on the other hand, the people then didn't have so much stress like today. Because a person is very hungry today. The more he has, the more he wants. That's why he puts himself under tremendous stress. Not that many people are able to run after their goals and not be affected from all this stress. So you have both sides of the coin. Tonight's topic is Shabbat. And now I understand why half of the people didn't show up. 2 reasons. Why it's 10 degrees outside. And second is that the topic, it's not so convincing. Why? Because a lot of the people say, anyway, I'm not planning to be Shomer Shabbos. Why should I come hear about Shabbos? That's what happened to me today at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, in the morning. I got a phone call from New Orleans. Why am I getting a phone call from New Orleans? Because last week I was there. I went to New Orleans. I gave an 8-hour lecture straight. It won't happen tonight. Relax. 8 hours straight. Half of the people there are already religious now. They went to shul, Shabbat, Kisha. So this woman, some of them come to the yeshiva, some of them comes to the Mizrachi for Banot. We live in a generation today you can save an eternity of a person in one lecture. I don't think it's ever happened in a history, a generation like this, that rabbis are going, they give lectures, they prove the truth, and people decide, you know what, my life is going to change from now, not from tomorrow, from now. That's why I always encourage people here, whatever I say, it's beautiful. Some of that you'll remember, some of that you'll forget. But the most important thing right now, that's what we say in Hebrew, when the metal is hot, you can bend it the way you want. Once it gets cold, that's it. So the point is that one of the girls called today, and my understanding from the guy that put her on the phone, that she's hesitating if to keep Shabbat or not, and I gotta give the push. Maybe I speak to her 10 minutes on the phone and she'll agree. But when I started to speak to her, she told me, I think we have a misunderstanding here. I'm not even thinking about being Shomer Shabbos. I only told him that I'm thinking how I'm going to start telling my boss that I don't want to work anymore on Shabbat. That's all. I just wanted to quit work. She sells in a booth the Dead Sea product. How do you have so many Israelis in New Orleans, Las Vegas, Texas, everywhere I go? Israelis in their 20s, plenty. Why? Because they advertise in Israel, sell the Dead Sea product in America, and you make 4 times or more than what you make in Israel. So they come, and they live there, if you can call it life, but they live there, and they work around the clock. So she said, I'm just going to quit work on Shabbat. So through the conversation, maybe 25 minutes we spoke, Baruch Hashem, she agreed that she's going to keep Shabbat 100%. She said, my problem is the cigarettes. So I told her, usually I have a plan. What do I say? I say, what's the problem? I can't stop. Every 20 minutes I need a cigarette. How am I going to sit in Shabbat without the cigarettes? So usually I ask the people, what do you do in Yom Kippur? Yom Kippur is smoke. Most of them still say no. I say, the same way you're going to do on Shabbat. You see, in Yom Kippur you have no problem not smoking. You're going to do on Shabbat until you get used to it. But in this case it didn't work because she smoked in Kippur also. So she said, yeah, sure I smoke in Kippur. So I came with a different strategy. All right, so let's get to the point. The point is now, this lecture is designed, before we really go deeply into Shabbat, it's designed first of all to explain people what Shabbat means. But before we get into the details, the point is, by me, I always have to supply the proof. If I supply the proof, then the people open their mind and they're willing to consider. If there's no proof, for me it's really silly that people will go to any lecture and hear beautiful words without any proof and they're willing to change. Why? There's no proof. That's why it's always a solid point. You got to start with the proofs. And if the people accept the proof, they have no more excuses. So now they have to fight with their evil inclination. But before they get the proof, why should they change? He's working, he makes a lot of money on Shabbat. His business makes on Shabbat more than he makes in 6 days or 5 days. Why would he give it up? You need a really solid reason for it. Once he understands that everything he's making, he's going to pay for it with interest, he worked for free, his family suffer, all this money will not stay by him, and if it stays by him it will be even worse. And on top of everything he loses the reward of being a Jew and keeping the Sabbath. Now he has a reason to consider, maybe I should change my life. But if you don't prove to him, why would he give up? I once saw a guy from Mexico. He had 6 stores in Mexico City for ladies, very fancy women clothing. On Shabbat he was making more than the other 6 days in each one of the branches. After a seminar, he got on the stage and he said, I want to say, now before tomorrow I'll change my mind. I'm making a vow. I close all my stores on Shabbat. And I know almost all the employees would leave me. I got to do it because that's the truth. If I'm going to survive in a business, may God help me. If not, I lose all the businesses. Why? That's the truth. If that's the truth, that's the truth. Then later I heard that he is doing even better now. He's closed on Shabbat, and the customer got used to come in the other 6 days to buy. It's all how you... Okay, so let's get to the point. The point is that when you ask an average Jew today that is not keeping Shabbat, why is not keeping Shabbat? So let's see what are the reasons. The most common reason is because he does not believe that God really gave the laws of Shabbat. He does not believe that God gave the Torah. That's the main reason. Those who already believe that God gave the Torah, and they agree that the Torah is a divine book, they come up with other excuses, such as living, parnasah, such as cigarettes, such as business, such as, for instance, something now, the malls, if you don't open the booth on Shabbat, they don't let you stay in the mall. They penalize you. You must open Shabbat. So now the guys in New Orleans, he say, you know what? After now I saw what I saw, I cannot open on Shabbat. But the mall will give me a penalty for every store that I don't open. That's the contract over there. So what do? I put a goy on Shabbat to watch the booth. Every customer who come and say, can I buy? He say, my register is not working today. Come back tomorrow. He's going to pay them $70 a day in each booth just to stay there like supposedly is open. Why? A Jew that saw the truth. Now let's get to business. So the first thing is first to recognize that this is what your Creator wants from you. And obviously, everybody here agree with me that if God Himself will come to you like He came to Moshe, and say, excuse me, Mr. Cohen, I have a request for you. I know tomorrow you plan to go to work as usual, or to open your business, or to drive. I have a personal request from you. Please do not dare to violate the laws of Shabbat. For me, I'm begging you, please don't do it. Anybody here would dare to do it if God himself would speak to you? Yes or no? Be honest. If God will come to you tomorrow an hour before Shabbat, and when you plan to watch a nice movie in like 10 o'clock at night, and say to this Shabbat, no television. You have to observe the law exactly according to the book. And don't worry, you're not going to lose. Have patience. I'll pay you back more than you can dream. Would you do it or not? Be honest. Who would still watch the movie? Who would still turn the lights on? Probably nobody in history would do it. So the question that I have, what's the difference if God came to you and spoke to you, or he sent you a certified letter? What's the difference? It's the same God. If George Bush came and told me, I want you to come tomorrow to Washington, I want to meet with you, I want you to meet some of my friends, or he sent me a FedEx, an express mail from the White House with all the stamps, with a videotape that he's the one who signed it, and he's speaking to me through the video, and he put it in the envelope, and I open it and I see Mr. Bush invited me through the letter. There's any difference? That he called me on the phone and spoke to me? What's the difference?
Throw the letter in the garbage.
Huh?
Throw the letter in the garbage.
No, as far as the truth, there is any difference in the invitation if it was done verbally or through the letter, a certified letter? Now you may come and say, wait a minute, maybe the letter is forged. There's still some kind of a chance the letter is not really Mr. Bush letter. This is the issue here. If we're able to prove that Mr. Bush sent the letter, then everybody here agree that there's no difference if he came by himself to invite you or he sent you a letter. You agree that it's the same? Everybody here agree? Now, please raise his hand. Someone here that have 1% doubt, don't hesitate. 1% doubt that the Torah, it's maybe thinking that it's really not the word of God. Maybe the rabbis tricked us. Maybe the rabbis added some strict laws. Maybe God never even gave it to begin with. There was an idea of somebody. If anybody has 1% doubt in the Torah that it's not divine, please raise his hand. 1% doubt. I don't need more than that. It's enough. Not to do, it's enough. 1% doubt, it's enough. No? Who has a doubt? So what do we need a lecture for? No, something is not right here. You're fooling me pretty good tonight. Do you see? Now I'm stuck. If somebody would raise his hand, at least I had what to answer. Now everyone is a rabbi here. We'll do it anyway. So, the letter that was sent to you, here it is in front of you. Here it is in front of you. This is the letter of God. I'm going to speak first of all in general, and then we get into the Shabbat. And Moses called the nation of Israel, and he told them, your eyes saw everything God did in front of you in the land of Egypt, to Pharaoh and to all his servants and to his whole country. When we read such a sentence, I don't know if you remember that maybe a month ago when I was here, in the proofs lecture, I dedicated maybe 20 minutes to this part. Here I don't have 20 minutes, I'll do it in 2 minutes. What does it mean, your eyes saw? That means it's a direct conversation between the giver of the book to the people who receive the book. It's not enough to receive a book from your grandfather, and your grandfather is telling you, God gave me the book. If that was the case, then I understand why you may have some doubts. But if I am receiving the book from God, and God referred to me, you saw what I did in Egypt, that means I have the way to confirm if he really did that in Egypt or not. If one of the details that God says in a book did not happen to me, I'm going to raise my hand and say, excuse me, Your Honor, Mr. Creator of the world, either there is a lie in this book or there is a human error, one of the two. Because, for instance, I did not see blood in Egypt. I didn't see frogs. I didn't see every firstborn dying. I didn't see the ocean is splitting. I didn't see the Egyptians are drowning. I did not see all the things that this book is saying. So that means, from the 100 unbelievable miracles that the book is listing, it's enough that one detail, not one miracle, one detail in the story of each miracle is not correct for me to give him back his book and say, leave me alone. I have nothing to do with you. Why? Because if you show me that you can make one mistake, I can never rely on you ever again. Why? Because maybe tefillin is the second mistake. Maybe the Sabbath is the second mistake. Maybe mezuzah it's the second mistake. But mezuzah I can live with. I pay $60. I put it in the door for 30 years. If it was a mistake, take the $60. Enjoy. No problem. But here you're asking me to close the business, $10,000 in a register, multiply by hundreds of locations that I have? Come on. And you tell me that you give me a rain of bread every day from the sky? And you expect me to follow this book? I never saw any bread is falling. Anybody here saw man? No. Nobody saw man. Anybody saw Moshe taking the stick and throw it and it becomes a snake? Anybody saw A, B, C, D until tomorrow? One of the things did not happen. They raise their hand. They say, excuse me, there's a mistake in a book. It's all over. So Shabbat will never start. To begin with, nobody will agree to keep Shabbat. Why? Because the book is not correct. So the fact that everybody accepted Shabbat, everybody, and I mean everybody, not one violated the rules of Shabbat until one person did. And because there was one Jew that violated the rule of Shabbat, the Torah dedicated half a page for him, because it was something out of the ordinary. If thousands would do it, for instance, from millions, let's say you have 15 million people, 1% of them don't want to accept Shabbat. You can't force them with a gun. Let's say from 15 million people, 100 people would not accept Shabbat. The Torah cannot write 100 different stories about Moshe and Yitzchak and Reuven and Levi. There was only one person. That's why the Torah highlighted him and spoke about his entire story from the beginning to the end for us to learn forever what not to do and what we are allowed to do. Now let's move on. The next sentence right here, "Ve'ata im shamoa tishmeu." And now if you are going to listen to me and you keep my covenant, you're going to be a special nation from all the other nations, because I am the master of the land. This is all clear proofs. Again, if you have doubts if the book is divine, come to me after the lecture. I give you a CD, I'll give you my website. You will never have doubts again. We don't have time too much to concentrate on that, but the point is, if you are going to listen to me and keep my orders, then only. A lot of people make that mistake. It's a very common mistake. Every Jew walking the street with the feeling, I belong to the chosen people. I belong to the special nation. The Goyim admits, why should I deny? I'm a Jew. The Goyim say, you are the chosen people. The Goyim don't know that we're really not the chosen people. We are only the chosen people if we follow the conditions. If we don't keep the condition, not only we are not chosen, we are the last in the list. Which means, according to the truth of this book, if a non-Jew keeps the 7 laws that he has to keep from God, and the Jew does not keep the laws that God gave, which is a lot, it's much longer list, the Goy is much better. The Goy, the non-Jew, will inherit a world to come. He will go to heaven, he will be with his brothers Goyim. Why? Because they listened to God and they kept the 7 laws. It's called Sheva Mitzvot Bnei Noach. Also a Goy that saved Jews from all kinds of Holocaust and pogroms and all kinds of things like this, automatically by himself a part of the world to come. The Gemara is full of stories of Goyim that did something great to the Jewish people, and the Torah says that they inherit a part in the world to come. But like I said, every Arab that doesn't murder automatically keeps the 7 laws of Noah. But if he sponsors murdering and he donates or he murders himself, automatically he violated the rules of Noah. If he steals, for instance, he also is a wicked Goy. But if he keeps the 7 laws, 5 of them for the Arabs are easy to keep. 2 of them is a little bit difficult for them. 1 is not to steal, it's difficult for everybody. So if they violate the rules of stealing, they have a problem right there. And the second one, they should not kill. But killing, like I say, doesn't mean you have to be the murderer yourself. It's enough you sponsor it. It's enough you donate to them. It's enough you vote for them. Those who are murdering, automatically you have a problem. A Jew, how many laws a Jew has to keep? Who knows? Technically 613. Today, really, how many? Less than 100. Less than 50. Less than 30. Only very few. You can count on two hands. It's really hardly anything to keep. Why? Because more than half of the Torah is connected to the Holy Temple. All the sacrifices of the law, 10% from the wheat, 10% from the barley, from the oranges, from the grapes. So many laws that applies only to farmers. We are not farmers. There's no Bet HaMikdash anyway. Shnat Shemitah, for instance, it's for farmers. The laws of the Kohanim, it's for Kohanim only. If you're not a Kohen, right away you have a list of mitzvot that you are dismissed. And also women, for instance. So many mitzvot that has nothing to do with women. Tefillin, learning Torah, so many circumcision, all kinds of things that it connects only to men, so the women don't have it. So really a woman today, how many mitzvot she has to keep? She has to keep Shabbat. The laws of modesty is the most important law for a woman, the most important one. And she has to correct her personality, not to be stingy, not to be angry, not to be jealous, not to look for pride, not to instigate between other Jews, of course not to steal, not to murder. Most women don't murder anyway. So really, if you look at the list of the women, if a woman has good personality, how much she has to do? Shabbat and modesty, it's already 90% from her. If she does those two, she's a righteous woman. She's already in a very good place. A man, it's a little bit more difficult. The man has to dedicate hours every day for Torah, to learn Torah a lot, to put tefillin, that's already 2 or 3 days, 3 minutes a day. Every man is obligated to pray at least once a day from the Torah, from God. The rabbis made it 3 times. But from the Torah, man and woman has to pray at least once in their own language. God, I love you, I appreciate what you're doing for me, what you have done for me, what you gave me, everything I have, it's you, I recognize it. I do not bring my own money, I know you're giving it to me, please help me with A, B, C, the list until tomorrow. It's enough, 5 minutes. You already made a big mitzvah. Okay? So now we see that there are so many laws that are not connected to us. For instance, if you're not a judge in a court, you know how many laws right away you got rid of? If you're not a boss, if you don't have employees working for you, then a lot of the laws are not applied to you. Or if you don't deal with contractors that come and do jobs for you, because a lot of the laws, you got to pay them by the end of the day. You cannot delay their payment. You cannot cheat them on commissions. Each one of them is one of the 613. Does not apply to us. Almost to none of us. You're not a shochet. You're not slaughtering the animals. Right there, few mitzvot are off you. Like I say, it's much easier than people think. Let's move on. After the Torah describes the list, maybe we should make it more. Oh, here you go. The list of all the miracles that God did to us. And the last sentence in this page is very important here. It says like this: I'm making a covenant with you and make you my nation. I'm going to be your God as I swore to your father Abraham, Yitzchak and Yaakov. And I'm not making the covenant only with you. I'm making the covenant with the people that are here today and those who are not here today. How can you make a covenant with people that are not born yet? They do not exist. How can you make a covenant with them? Very simple. I give the Jewish nation a gift. It's this book. Every father, I make him one of the laws as an obligation to teach his children and grandchildren, and it has to pass from father to son. And every person has to warn his children, what I received from my father, I am passing on to you, and this is what we're doing here in this planet. Without this book, this world would not exist. The purpose of life, it's all here. Stick to it. This is what King David did to his son Solomon. You can read over there. He directed him what to do, what not to do. Stick to the book of God. Follow the mitzvot. That's going to be a blessing. And that's what we are obligated to do to our children. We also obligate to teach them the book. Since we don't have time, because we're busy making money, so what do? We send them to yeshiva. In the old days, most people taught their own children. They came home and they sat with them and they taught them the laws. Later it became very difficult, so they hired a person. They each one participate in his payment, and he teach the kids in a cheder, 9, 10 in a room, hundreds of years like this. Today we are a little bit more sophisticated. So now we have schools with classes, with buildings. Baruch Hashem, we have the ability. But in the old days there was a local room. People sit and you teach them all day Torah, and that's it. Then the Jews never bother with anything else. They only learn the most important thing in life. By the way, don't get me wrong. The Torah has geometry, it has math in it, it has physics, it has medicine. Everything you're thinking of is in the Torah. The Rambam was the greatest doctor in history. He never went to Harvard. He knew he was one of the most famous doctors in history. The Rambam, King Solomon, didn't go to college, but he knew everything. All the Tanaim, they knew all the laws of medicine. They knew, Chazal, our sages knew medicine, like if you take all the doctors in the world together, they do not know what one Rabbi knew. If you read in the Gemara, if you know a little bit Gemara, you don't need to know the whole Gemara. There are books who are only speaking about the miracles and the things the Rabbi used to do by their knowledge in medicine. For instance, the president of Israel, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, he couldn't see. And he went to one of the rabbis, and he made him a tube from the trees, from the leaves. He mixed all kinds of ingredients, and he told him, before you go to sleep, you take from this paste, you put it in the back of your head, smear some. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, you see like a baby. Brand new. Do you know a doctor can do it today? If a person lost his eyesight, he cannot see. King David used to take the feet of his soldiers with a knife and make cuts in their feet, special cuts in all directions. And from this moment on, the nerve system in their feet never worked again. They could step on fire, on thorns, on hot, cold, anything you want, they don't feel anything. And they run to the war like this, they don't have any problems. King David used to make surgeries to his soldiers to take out the splint out of their body. There's not one doctor in the world that can do such a surgery today. They used to take out the splint. What's the point? If you take the splint of the person out, he can run forever. He doesn't get tired. The muscles eventually will hurt. But as far as breath, he can breathe and run like a horse, non-stop. Do you know anyone can do it? We have a surgery today, it's called liposuction. You know how many ladies died because of it? Those who are thinking to do it, they're not telling you the statistic. Many people die in that simple surgery. It's a simple surgery. They take like a suction, they put it under, and they start to suck the fat. And then they cut the skin and they shrink it a little bit. It's a simple surgery. People died in such a simple surgery. The Gemara said the son of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, his name was Rabbi Shimon. He was heavy, but real heavy, like a mountain. And they made him a surgery and they put him on a marble. Why marble? Marble, it's easy to sterilize. It's the best material for surgery to put the patients on. And it's easy to clean. There's no germs on it. You clean it once, it's good. So the Gemara said they put him on marble and they took out of his body 2 huge buckets of fat. What is it? Very simple. And there's a whole huge list of hundreds of things. That's not the topic tonight. But that's just to give you an idea of the Chachamim of 2,000 years ago. Let's move on. So the covenant is for those who are here and those who are to be born in the future. Then, Rashi, 900 years ago in France. What's so funny over there? Huh? The liposuction? It's getting cold? It's very hot here. The projector is like a fire. Sit right here, come. Rashi says, There's a difference then when you receive something that passed from hand to hand, because people can forge and add or erase things, then when you receive it from the source direct. You agree? So Rashi says, what does the Torah say? Atem reitem. You saw. You did not receive from somebody else that saw. You are the witness of God doing all these things to you. Yes or no? If yes, how can you go against it? If not, put it in a toilet. One of the two. So he says like this. Since you are the one who saw what happened in Egypt, everything I did to them, I did for you. And you are my witnesses that that's the truth. Rabbeinu Bechaye, it's about 700 years ago, he wrote, you saw that I spoke to you from heaven. All the nation of Israel witnessed this conversation, the 10 plagues in Egypt, until the moment of receiving the Torah. And since you witnessed the entire process from the beginning to the end, you should not have any excuses later to say that you're not sure if this is the word of God. Then coming the covenant, which is Shabbat. You should know that Shabbat in Hebrew, it's a very special word. First of all, here is the word Shabbat. You can see Shin, Bet, and Taf. 3 letters. Shabbat means a strike. To stop from what you're doing. Also means, it comes also from the word 7. When we look around us, we see something very interesting in the world. The entire people in the world, their calendar has a cycle of 7 days. When really, if you look at that, 7, it's not a good number. It's very difficult to work with such a cycle. Especially when you decide that you have a small groups of 7s, and a larger group of 30, which is a month, and a larger group of 365, and so forth. So each small group fits inside a larger group few times. Now, what would be easier? For instance, we could have made the week 10 days, and we can make the month 50 days. So now we have 5 weeks in a month, and it's perfect. 5 times 10, 50. A year, we could make the year 300. Everything divided perfectly. Even numbers, no leftovers. Very simple. Why should it be a cycle of 7? If people would come together in a world thousands of years ago and decide to make a calendar, a mutual calendar for entire society, for sure they would not come up with this kind of numbers. This number was forced on the people by someone. Who? The one who gave us the book. Now it's getting even better. Why the creator of the world decided that the 7th day will be Shabbat? Why not the 10th day? Why not the 5th day? It had to be a reason why 7. What's special about number 7? You see throughout the entire Torah, the number 7 is the most common number. Always 7, 7. It's a holy number. It's mamash like a lucky number. Always it connects somehow to 7. So the question is, why? The answer is that from 1 to 6, each one is a dimension of a materialistic world. This is the material world, the physical world. Every object that you have has, well, it will be a better example. Every object that you have has 6 dimensions. Up and down, south, north, east and west. Everything you're going to hold in your hand has like 6 different directions to look at. From top, from the bottom, and from 4 directions. 7 symbolize exiting out of the material world into a spiritual world. I'm not already connected to the physical world, which is only a temporary world anyway. It's a place of a test. It will be dismissed eventually, and we're not going to have any need for this world anymore. The 7 days is an opportunity to visit in a spiritual upper world. You can visit every 7 days in the world of God. The body, it's irrelevant, because the body anyway, it's only the box of the soul. Shabbat, the mind of a person based on what he thinks, that's where he is. For instance, if a person sitting here and his mind is in a business today, he's thinking what happened today in a store, at this 5 minutes that he's thinking about the argument that he had now with the customer, right now he's there in Manhattan. He's not in Roslyn. He's in Manhattan right now. His body is here, but when you wake him up from his dream, he's going to tell you what happened to him in the last 5 minutes. That was at 2 o'clock in Manhattan. He's back there in his mind. If you're still not convinced, I once gave you the example of you can take a person and put him in a beach in a very relaxing island with beautiful view and the birds are singing and all that, and put headphones on his ears with gunshots, fighting in Vietnam, people are screaming, people are getting killed, airplanes are attacking, people are crying, screaming. What happened? After an hour he got a heart attack. So when the people say, what's the cause of the death? Getting 10 on an island. That's where his body was. But who cares about the body? We care where the mind was. So that's also when we dream. The longest dream is 9 seconds. That's it. But every one of us know that sometimes when we were in a dream, we had a 6-month visit to a place. We went to jail. We got burned. We got beat up. And then we won the lottery. And then we lost it. And then the neighbors are suing us. You have a whole story in your dream. And then when you wake up crying, your wife says, what happened? You don't know what a trip I just went in. But you're only sleeping 2 minutes. You just started to snore a minute ago. You just fell asleep. How are you telling me 6 months of details now? Conversations, arguments, you've been in jail, you cried, we came to visit you. All these things take months. 9 seconds. What do you see? That the body has right now an adventure that only took to the body 9 seconds. But the soul went to a place and went through 6 actual months. 6 months the soul went and it felt everything that happened in a dream. So if you ever have a dream that they put you in prison for 20 years, that really happened to your soul, not to your body. The body stayed here. The soul went and had 20 years of suffering somewhere. And it came back. Now how can it be? Because the body is a combination of body and soul. Spirituality and material. So here is the point. The point is that time exists only in a place of material. That's the law. It's a very important law in this world. When there is material, there is time. When there is no material, there's no more time. Therefore, the upper worlds are all spiritual. When you visit there, when you go there, time does not exist. There's no way to measure time at all. Now, what God decides for you, that's what you're going to feel. If He wants you to feel that you're in hell for 500 years, you're going to be in hell for 500 years. And you're going to be burned from morning to night and scream and cry and be upset. And when it's over, it's going to tell you, oh, it was really nothing. It was all hallucinations. Hallucinations are very painful. It's real, but it's not. The point is that people ask this question. The Torah says that the wicked people, Hitler will be burned in hell. But Hitler, we saw that his body goes into the grave or whatever. We saw his body. So how exactly his body will be burned in hell if we saw it buried here somewhere, or anybody else, or Saddam Hussein? How? The answer is God is taking the soul and put it in a place exactly like in a dream. And He has 200, 500, 5,000, according to his sins. An adventure that me and you don't want to be there. And when it's over, he's going to feel like he was there for 5,000 years. And it's real 100%. Real, because he's feeling it. He's crying, he's upset, he's depressed, he's broken to pieces. And in the end, it was only the soul. The soul doesn't need the body to be burned or to get rewarded. The body is only the box. And that's the mistake of most people in this world. They think that I am the bunch of molecules that cover my soul. This is who I am. Who are you? This is me. That's not me. That's my cover. Who is me? I am, if you open my body and search who I am inside, where is my intelligence? Where is my feelings? Where is all my knowledge? Where is it? Where are you gonna? Can you point in a place in the body that you can take it out and put it in a different body, and the person over there will be able to talk like me, like in computers? You take the disk from this computer and you put it in another one. All the knowledge are in this disk. So we know the knowledge were taken out and put here. Well, when a person dies, you cannot take his knowledge. Where are you going to find it? Because the knowledge went with the soul together to the next world. And that's what happened with Albert Einstein. When he died, they were all looking for his brain to see if they can find something over there. What was special about him? Regular brain. Let's move on. This is the beginning. Excuse me?
His brain was bigger.
It was bigger? How much knowledge you could fit in the extra inch that he had? Huh? It was bigger? I have a friend, he has such a head. I promise you, it's double than Einstein's brain, but he's such a foolish guy. Nowhere in the world somebody can prove that the size of the brain has something to do with your intelligence. That's what people don't understand. People think that, for instance, if we see a different wiring in someone's brain, that's going to indicate that he's smarter than the other. It's such a mistake. The knowledge are not in the material. It cannot, knowledge, it's a spiritual thing. It cannot go into material. Knowledge is only the soul. What's the proof? I give you a perfect proof. Did you see my lecture here, Life After Life?
Yes. Yes.
What happened to 30 million people in the world in this generation? They died, some of them more than 6 minutes. The brain could not ever think ever again. They should be paralyzed forever. After 6 minutes, no oxygen, no brain waves, no breath, no nothing. And these people came back to normal life. And the best part is that when the body was dead here for 40 minutes, they were not in the body. And then when they came back, they told you I was on the roof of this hospital. But at the same time, he's going to repeat everything that took place in that room. How was he able to record the knowledge if he wasn't even in a body? He wasn't in a body. The body was completely dead. You could burn it with a cigarette, it wouldn't move. So for 45 minutes, he was not in the body, but he was still recording everything that happened in the room like it's in the body. So what do you see? With or without the body, you get all the knowledge. And better than that, the body, it's only a limitation to the soul. Why? Because if he's blind, when he's in the body, he cannot see. But when the soul exits the body, the soul sees everything. And that's a big difference. Because right now, if I'm blind and I cannot see, that's not because my soul cannot see, because the blinds are blocked physically. It's like putting a hand in my eyes. I cannot see. That doesn't mean my eyes cannot see. I'm just blocking the view. Same thing, a blind person. The soul always sees, but the blinds are blocked permanently. That's why when he comes out of the body, he will tell you everything that happened in the last hour here. Even though, according to the science, he is completely dead. So let's move on. This is the source of the covenant that we made with God. Now the word Shabbat, it's abbreviation of 3 words. Shin. The Shin stands for Shabbat. Bet stands for Brit, circumcision. And Tav stands for Tefillin. What's so special about those 3 mitzvot? We have, as I said, 613 mitzvot. According to the number of the organs in the body, this is the number of the mitzvot. 248 parts, organs, 248 positive mitzvot in the Torah. 365 ligaments in the body, 365 restrictions in the Torah. Each restriction connects to a ligament. Each positive mitzvah connects to an organ in the body. And that's, the body is designed like the blueprint, the book of God. Torah means instruction in Hebrew, Orah. So now, there are 3 exceptional mitzvot from the 613. What's so special about the 613? About the 3? That they are the only 3 mitzvot that the Torah used the word ot. Ot means a sign, an agreement. Like when you have a store, as long as the sign is hanging, there's a chance that there is merchandise in a store. Once the sign is put off, there's no more business. So the point is like this. Let's read word by word. Vayechulu hashamayim va'aretz. Heaven and earth stopped. And all the armies of heaven. What's the armies of heaven? Billions of galaxies, billions and trillions of stars that are always in movement. When the 7th day came, everything paused. And God stopped His creation in the 7 days. When you ask a non-religious Jew, what's the purpose of Shabbat? He thinks that he has time to rest. Physically, to sleep, to rest from work. The answer is, it's a little bit correct, but it's the last thing on the list. The purpose of Shabbat, it's a spiritual, divine day. Then, by the way, it's an opportunity to rest from work and from all the things you do every day. But the main thing is a spiritual day. And let's see. And God stopped everything He did on the 7th day, and He striked on that day from every creation that He did. And the most important thing, and God blessed the 7 days. It's a spiritual blessed day, and made it and sanctify it, made it holy. Other days are not holy. This is a holy day because He struck from everything He created. And the most important thing for us to understand that it's not forbidden to do work on Shabbat. It's forbidden to create new things on Shabbat. Therefore, I'll give you an example. If I have a house which has 3 floors, and we have hundreds of guests came for one Shabbat, and we don't have enough tables, so what do? We want to use the same table, so we put some of the people on the 3rd floor, on the 2nd, and on the 1st. And we have to use the same table for all 3 floors. So what do? We serve the meal here. We finish with them. Now it's a very heavy table. We carry the table on our back, on the stairs. We became movers in Shabbat. We sweat. We pick it up. We go. We put the table together. No chilul Shabbat. Allowed, no problem. Mitzvah. You need a table, take it 100 times. Up and down, all Shabbat. You carry 1 ton on your back. Take it up and down in your house. Not chilul Shabbat. Turning the switch. You didn't sweat by that, no? Press the remote, the light went on. You already violated the rule of Shabbat. Now some people comes and say, the Torah say, you're not allowed to create energy. You're not allowed to light fire on Shabbat. You know why? Because in the old days, it was very difficult. Every time, you didn't have match or all kinds of technology like today. So if they wanted to create fire, it took them half an hour. They need to bring 2 stones until the spark comes out and it catch the oil. It's a big work. If a person will work on Shabbat, it's going to be a regular day of work. This is one of the most stupid things that you can hear in this planet. Someone who says such a thing, that means he has not even 1% understanding what Shabbat means. First of all, it's not correct. Why it's not correct? Because in the old days, since there was no electricity, there's no electric, people always had fire ready all the time in their house. Day, night, around the clock, 365 days a year, there was always fire, always. Why? That was the light. How did they build their houses? If the house was made in rocks or bricks, they used to make holes inside the bricks and they take like a bucket, fill it with olive oil or other oils, and they put the fire on top, and that's how you see, when you come home at 6, 7 in the evening, it's dark, you come home, how are you going to see where to go? You need a lot of candles, a lot of lights. So there was always fire. So if the problem with Shabbat was not to create new fire, it's nonsense. Because once you had fire, you didn't want to ever be bothered with creating new ones. You make sure to continue one from the other all the time. And that's what it is. They put a bucket of oil, it's good for 2 weeks. Why do you need to create new fire? So if you need for Shabbat, you take the fire from here and bring it to here, and you smoke, you can do whatever you want. So that's not the answer. Second, as I just mentioned before, work, it's not forbidden. Creating something new is forbidden. And we will move on and we'll begin to understand a little bit deeply about the mitzvah of Shabbat. Now comes in another place the Torah and say, remember the Shabbat, the 7 days, to sanctify him. I sanctify it when I gave you the order. Now it's your job to do the same thing. You have to sanctify the 7 days. You can work 6 days and do everything you want in the 6 days. You're a farmer, you work 6 days. You a doctor, you're going to work 6 days. No problem. You, your son, your daughter, your slaves, your female slaves, your animals, the converts, the residents that lives in Israel, the non-Jews, they have to obey the laws of the Torah when they are guests in the Holy Land. They have to, publicly, they must respect the law of Shabbat. Even though they're non-Jews. All of them that lives around your houses and your gates, they must respect the 7 days. Because 6 days God did heaven and earth, the ocean and everything in it, and in the 7th day He rested. That's why He blessed the 7th day and made it holy. So now we begin to get an idea what's the importance of Shabbat in the eyes of the Creator of the world and our Creator. But it gets better. In Sefer Shmot, in the book of Exodus, chapter 31, and this is what it says. And God told Moses to speak to the nation of Israel and say like this: you must keep my Sabbaths, plural, with S, because it's a oath. Remember what I said before? Oath? Oath, it's an agreement, a sign. You want to be in a covenant with me? This is the condition. You must observe the laws of the 7 days. If you do it, you belong to my nation. If you don't do it, you cut yourself out of my nation. Later you're going to understand the damage you made yourself. But right now you have to understand, it's in your hand. My hand is always reach out to you. You want to shake it, reach your hands back. You don't want, take your hand back. Later you'll pay the price. Where is it? Where is it? Soon we're going to see. It's a covenant between me and you. For eternity, for generations, to know that I am your God that sanctified you and made you a special nation. You keep the Sabbath because it's holy. It's holy to you. Those who will violate the laws of the Sabbath should be executed. Because if someone will violate one of those laws, his soul, not the body it's nothing. You die. Instead of 70, you die 50. 20 years, it's a blink of the eye. Big deal. Especially if most people are miserable anyway, it's a favor to them. But that's not the punishment even. Where is the punishment? Where is it? And the soul of that person will be cut from my nation. I cut it, it does not belong to me anymore. What's the outcome? Soon we will understand, later. Let's move on. I have to understand, this lecture has only one purpose. I really have no intention to scare you, really. Even though I know it's scary a little bit, or a lot, depends how smart you are. But that's really not my intention. It's only education here. I know from experience, unfortunately, that I cannot count in one hand how many non-religious Jews know what I'm going to show you about Shabbat. How do I know? Because almost everyone that I educated became Shomer Shabbos. What do you see from this? That the reason he wasn't, because he was ignorant. Ignorance is very painful. If you don't know, if you don't know computer, forget about religion now. If you don't know computer, if you want to just type sometimes a letter and send it to emails, if you don't know there's a trick in a computer that by pressing one button you can send it to 5,000 people, if you don't know that function, you're going to sit 5 months from morning to night, do it manually like me, the fool, one by one, until somebody one day come and say, what, you crazy? What are you doing? You're sitting here for 3 hours pressing hundreds of times to this person, repeat it again, to this. Wow. You save, and you press, and you have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours became 10 seconds. Ignorance is very painful. If you don't know those things, you don't know what you're missing. I have an obligation as a Jew, as a brothers, we all brothers, to do everything I can to bring the information to you. At least some of you will look at your mistake until today and will try to correct. We will talk later how it's going to be easy to correct. Because some people think, yeah, it's true, but it's so difficult, I don't even want to start. Big mistake, it's not true. Let's move on. 6 days you do everything, and in the 7th day, someone who does it will be executed. Second time in the same page. Now we all know that the laws of the Torah are very clear. That God never repeats something twice for no reason. Usually if something repeats more than once, it has a reason. For instance, it says you should not eat milk, dairy and meat together. Fleischig and milchig you cannot mix. Why? Because the Torah says 3 times one sentence. Lo tevashel gdi b'chalev imo. Do not cook the gdi. What's the word for gdi? Huh? Goat is a se. A calf it's a egel. Okay. One of the kosher animals in the milk of his mother. That's what it says. But it repeats it 3 times. Comes the oral Torah and explain. The reason is, there's no way that God repeats it just for the beauty 3 times. No. Each one has a reason. One, to teach us that you're not allowed to eat it together. Second, to teach us that you're not allowed to cook it together, even if you want to give it to the dog or to the goy. You don't want to eat from it. You just want to open a McDonald's and make cheeseburgers and sell to the goyim. Here comes the Torah and told you even this you're not allowed. So one restriction is for a Jew to eat something that somebody else even cooked for him. To eat, you're not allowed. But not only not to eat, not allowed to cook them together. Remember, to cook them together, you're not allowed. And the 3rd times is that if you did it by mistake, you're not allowed to enjoy from it, which means you can't give it to the dog or to any pet that you have, because that's going to save you $2-3 to buy him different food. So you enjoy from it. You're not allowed to sell it to the goy. Let's say you made a mistake. You didn't know. You thought that this hamburger is vegetarian one. And you took yellow cheese or American cheese, and you put it together in a toasted, and you melted them together. And then your wife comes, you crazy, it's meat. I thought it's vegetarian. Okay, now what do you have? You have $10 kosher hamburger and cheese together in a bread. It's worth $8, let's say. What do? Why should I throw it to the garbage? I'll give it to the cleaning lady. I'll charge her $8 from the bin. Or I give her a gift for Christmas. Something! I do something with this. Comes the Torah and say, no, you have to destroy it. You can't enjoy from it. What happened if you made 1,000 hamburgers like this by mistake? You must put it in a garbage. You cannot enjoy from it. So this is why it repeats 3 times. Here in one page, the Torah repeats this because it's such an important restriction that the Torah repeated one sentence after the other. Someone who violated the laws of the Sabbath should be executed. And right after here, again, look, it was right here, Mechalelei Amot Yumat, right? Here, right here, Mot Yumat, look, Mot Yumat. Why twice? Mot in this world, Yumat to the world to come. And again, right here, the same thing. You should be careful because someone who does that, Mot Yumat. So Mot Yumat right here, and Mot Yumat, one sentence after the other. And twice the fact that the soul is going to be cut out of God's nation. And we'll continue to explain. And it also says, it's a sign between me and you for eternity, le'olam, forever. Because 6 days I created the world, and in the 7th I rested. And then after that, he gave Moses, once he finished speaking to him in Mount Sinai, the boards, the 10 Commandments, written on 2 pieces of stones in the finger of God. Which means, of course, you know that God doesn't have a finger, He doesn't have an image, He doesn't have a color, He doesn't catch any size, it's a spiritual power. Maybe the word energy will give you an idea what we're talking here about. It's a superpower, and obviously it doesn't have a finger. The Rambam explains that whenever you hear this expression, the chair of God, the finger of God, the anger of God in his nose, obviously it's all an expression for human to understand what it means. But that doesn't mean that God has a finger and he writes with his finger like the teacher in the public school here. Now, this is an explanation in English for everything I already explained. In case I made one mistake in the explanation, it's right here in front of you while I'm drinking. You can review it. Who finished reading it? Did I explain pretty good or no? Or I made any mistake? What do you say? Huh? Or nobody knows English here? You can't see? Where's your glasses, Mikhail? They need glasses. Not only they cold over there, they cannot see. Why don't they move here? No? Did I explain correctly or no? Okay, this is an original copy from an English version of the Torah. No problem. Now, I'm going to show you in Hebrew and in English that you have no excuses later. Here. And Moshe gathered the nation of Israel and he told them, this is the words and the laws that God ordered me to tell you, to do. 6 days you'll do everything you want, and in the 7 it will be holy. It's Shabbat Shabbaton. It's the Sabbath Shabbaton. It's a duplicate of a language to make it even better. To God, everybody will do anything in that day against the law will be executed. Do not create any fire in everywhere you're sitting on the 7th day. Here, it's the English explanation. You can read right here. How many times altogether there is a warning about not violating the rules of Shabbat? 12 times. More than any other restriction in the entire Torah. The Torah repeated the subject of Shabbat 12 times. There's only one subject that mentioned more times in the Torah. It's to love and to respect the converts, the non-Jews that converted to Judaism. It's, to the best of my memory, 36 times it repeats in the Torah, to love them, to help them, to feel bad for them, not to torture them, not to steal from them, and so forth and so on. Let's move on. Well, that's the continuation, I guess, right here. Okay, now let's move on. And there's another place. You should remember that you used to be a slave in Egypt, and God took you out of there with strong arm, and therefore He ordered you to do the Sabbath. So what do we see? When we do Kiddush, what are we saying in a Kiddush? Or when we pray in a synagogue, you look at the words of the prayer. What do we say? Shabbat, Zecher L'Yetziat Mitzrayim. As a memory for the exodus of Egypt. The concept of Shabbat and Tefillin and Passover, Leil Seder and circumcision and wedding and all these important mitzvot, it always repeat. Zecher L'Yetziat Mitzrayim. So that means the exodus of Egypt was something very important to the Creator of the world. It's something that He's very proud of. It's a very good memory that He took the Jews after 210 years out of Egypt and saved them and brought them the salvation and brought them into the Holy Land. Then we have another sentence here. You came to Mount Sinai and spoke to the Jewish nation from heaven and gave them the laws, honest and decent, and Torahs, not Torah, Torahs, plural, the written and the oral, Torahs of the truth, the laws, and the good deeds. And you also gave them your holy Sabbath, and informed them the mitzvot, the laws, and ordered them by your servant Moses. And now we finish with the written Torah part. Now we begin to review 2,000 years of the oral Torah. And of course, remember, do not ever make that mistake that some people do by ever suspecting or thinking that the oral Torahs have something to do with human being. Don't ever think that, because all the oral laws are only laws that were given to Moshe and Mount Sinai verbally, and were passed from him to all the people, and reviewed again and again and again, and compared between all of them, that God forbid they have no mistakes in the details. And the truth is that you don't have to be a genius to know that searching through the entire Torah, you don't have one explanation how to do one of the mitzvot. Not even one. So which means if you exclude the oral Torah, you cannot be a Jew. You cannot do one mitzvah from the Torah. Not Shabbat, not Tefillin, not circumcision, not mezuzah, nothing. Nothing whatsoever. Why? Where would you know where to put the Tefillin? It doesn't say. On what part of the hand? Which hand? What to put? How to make? Hundreds of details how to make tefillin. Hundreds. One of them you did incorrectly, it's not kosher. You're wasting your time. You put an empty box, it's worthless. So where are all these laws? You don't see them in the Torah. You don't even have the word tefillin in the Torah. All it says, Vaya leot al yadecha. It should be a sign on your hand. That's it. Where there's all the explanation? The oral laws. Circumcision. You should cut the orla of a baby boy in the 8 days. What's orla? Nobody knows. How to cut? Nobody knows. With what tool? Nobody knows. What happened if the baby is yellow? Nobody knows. What happened if his two brothers died when you cut? Are you allowed to cut for the third one? Nobody knows. What happened if you forgot to do it in a day? Can you do it at night? Nobody knows. Nobody knows anything. What happened if the mother is Jewish and the father is not Jewish? You also make circumcision? Nobody knows. What's happened if the other way around? Nobody knows. Nobody knows anything. What happened if it's on a 7th day? Are you allowed to cut? Because in one place you say you're not allowed to cut. But we see that we do circumcision on Shabbat. Where we learn all these laws? Very simple. The one who brought them in a written book started to explain verbally how God taught me to do it. So when he came down, he said, from this moment on, every woman will have a baby. She has to make sure he's going to be circumcised on the 8 days. They asked him, what do you mean circumcised? You make a Brit Milah. How? He took a baby that was born, and he did the first Brit Milah, and everybody saw. And they started to write in scroll with a feather. This is what you do. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now, so in that case, why wouldn't God just give everything in one book written and finished? Give us a big, make the Torah 5 times or 10 times longer, put the mitzvah and all the laws, the mitzvah and all the laws, and finish. Why verbally? I once told you before, because if it would be everything in one book, Judaism will be finished before it even started. Why? Because every non-Jew that will hear there's such a gold mine, such a treasure, one book of God with all the instructions, how to be a Jew, to belong to the holy nation, to earn eternity, the world to come, heaven, all these things, they will all pretend that they're Jews. They'll take the book, they'll do everything the book say. 3-4 generations later, you would not be able to tell the difference between who is a Jew and who is not. So the restriction was very strict. No one is allowed to write all the oral laws combined. Separate, yes. Because we have memory problems, no problem. You want to write the laws of circumcision on a scroll? Write it down, no problem. When the Rabbi was teaching his students, they write it down. But together with another, with tefillin, together in one scroll, not allowed. Together with the laws of the Sabbath, not allowed. So if one day a goy will steal one, so one goy will know how to circumcise himself, but he doesn't know about Shabbat, he doesn't know about tefillin, and he doesn't know, and he doesn't know, and he doesn't know. But if he will have everything, what's the point of making you a special chosen people if everybody on the street can copy it and pretend that he's a Jew? Yes.
I learned once that the oral law was supposed to be passed down, so we would tell it. It wouldn't be a book on a shelf to collect dust, that we would be able to teach it to our children.
Well, you know what it is. We always tell our children, but we only do it because we have a book. And thanks to reading in a book, by the order, we remember what to tell them. Because remember, me and you, as genius as we may be, we're not going to know by heart all the oral laws. Moses knew the oral laws because God took a disc and put it in his brain. And the Torah says that he was forgetting everything. The Torah says to teach us, don't think that he was such a genius, that he was the only one in history that could remember the Torah. That even him, he could not remember 1%. I gave it to him as a gift. And when he came down, before he died, he told Joshua ben Nun, he told him, you're going to inherit me, you take the place, be ready, make sure you write everything I tell you. So he got upset. He told him, didn't you write in the Torah that I never move an inch away from you all your life? It's in the text. Why are you suspecting me that I didn't listen to what you taught me? So Torah say right after that, he forgot 300 laws and 700 other things right away. Joshua already forgot until Othniel ben Knas came and renewed them from his knowledge. But it's just to show you that a regular human being will not remember by heart. So I always like to give this example. People ask me, how do you know that what we do today is what they did then? After all the years, every generation made a little change. Today, maybe we do a circumcision in a different way. Maybe, very simple, I'll tell you how. Because if I want to teach my son how to create, for instance, you know what? I want to teach my daughter how to bake a cake. So I have 20 ingredients in a cake, and the way, how much from each ingredient, and the right order, and the right temperature, how to do it, what not to do. So I pass it. For the first time in history, I invented a cake. I gave it to my daughter, and I ordered her to pass it to her daughters, and to the granddaughters, and so forth and so on. And I made it clear to her that she has to be very careful never to change from the ingredients of the cake or the right order, or to invent anything new to add or to decrease from it, because if she's going to do it, I'm going to kill her and cut her off the wheel. She will not get anything because of that. So now she has no incentive to do such a thing, because she's going to lose a lot. Plus, all she has to do is to come to the people who she teach how to make the cake, teach them the ingredients, show them how she makes the cake once, twice, 3 times, depend how smart they are. Some will catch after 1 time, some after 5 times. And they'll pass it on, and they'll pass it on, and finish. How many of you saw, when you were children, a circumcision? And today, after 40, 50 years, when you're still alive, you see also circumcision. And it's already a new generation. And they're doing it exactly like they did 50 years ago. And you go to someone who is 90 years old, tell him, when you were a kid, 80 years ago, did they do it the same way? Of course. And he will tell you better than that. I even asked my father, or I used to know my grandfather, which was 130 years ago, they also did it like this. Same thing, we bake matzah. How do we know how to bake matzah? I learned from my father, which learned from his father, and that's how it is. It's very simple. It's just passing from generation to generation. I'll give you another example. The Americans, every Thanksgiving, what do? They eat turkey, right? That's their law. They made themselves a law. Once a year, they eat turkey. Last year, they ate turkey. They had the turkey or not? 2 years ago, they had? I'm willing to swear that 100 years ago they ate turkey. I swear on my life. How am I such a genius? I can swear on my life that 100 years ago the Goyim in America ate turkey. How do I know? Because I know that it starts in a time after Columbus found America, after they stole America from the Indians. Now they thank God for their crime. So they say God gave us the land. Fine. And then they come to the Israelis and say you stole the land from the Palestinians, knowing the Bible said that it belongs to the Jews. It's really a nice thing. They really did it. They stole it from the Indians that were here before them. It's kosher. The Jews took what were there always for thousands of years. They tell us no. Just today they say, get out of the settlements. Today Bush say, all the settlements you build, vacant all the people from there, and so forth and so on. Now let's move on. What? Now we're going to explain how severe is to violate Shabbat. A person said, I'm going to start from the bottom. A person should not say, why should I put myself into that and fight with people and argue with that because they get very upset. I don't want to be a fighter. I don't want to argue with people. Why should I teach people how to keep the laws? Anyway, they're not going to like what I said. If I speak to them softly, they will not do anything. If I speak to them hardly, they would hate me. Why do I need it for? And this is what it says. The Torah says, those who teach the other Jews the truth, they will have peace and a good blessing. And how much God loves this mitzvah, coming to teach other Jews to do the right thing. It's exactly like a person that saved the son of the king, the prince, that was about to drown in a water, in a river. How much love the king will have to that person who saved his son from drowning. Didn't the Torah say you are the children of your God? But when he is violating the rules of the Sabbath, his soul is going to be cut from the land of from the life of eternity. And how many other problems are ready to come to him for this violation? Let's explain it a little bit in an easy language. It says, a lot of people say, why should I come, give lecture about Shabbat? Tomorrow everybody will say to Shammai and to our Persian friends here, what are you doing? You're ruining our life. We live so nice until today. Why now we have to know that everything we do is violation, execution, the soul gets cut for forever? Why? It would be better off. We would live the way we are and finish. Smart or foolish? Very foolish. You're heading to destruction for eternity and you don't want to know that you can save yourself? You will never ever forgive me if I wouldn't tell it to you. If I would come and give you a lecture about Shabbat and just tell you how beautiful it is to keep Shabbat and eat chulent and kugel and all that, and I recommend it, please try, it's very nice, and I won't mention the truth, what are you facing if you continue in your way, eventually each one of you will hate me for billions of years and curse me for billions of years. Why? You were standing 3 steps next to me, speaking to me about Shabbat, and you did not tell me what I'm subject to. How can it be? Imagine, it's like, you know what it's like? One time, a person had an FBI investigator came to his home, asked him a question about another Jew. And that person asked this FBI investigator, tell me, you're asking me all this question, but the way you're talking to me, I have a feeling that you suspect me that I got something to do with that. Should I get a lawyer? So what did he answer him? Everyone in this country is entitled to get a lawyer as much as he wants. Such an evil person. You should have told him, yes, get a lawyer. Why not? If you think he's a suspect, tell him you also should get a lawyer. Why would he care to tell him? Already he came. They know everything they know about him already. It's not going to change anything. Let him defend himself. He doesn't tell him. Why? Because he wants him. By the time he will realize, it will be too late for him. You understand? And that's not justice. Same thing if a person comes to a doctor and the doctor knows he's about to die in a week because they have a growth. But to remove the growth, you need a surgery, and surgery nobody likes. So after a week, he realizes that he's about to die in an hour, so he calls the doctor and says, you fool, I've been in your clinic a week ago. If you tell me a week ago about my situation, I'll be able to live. Why didn't you tell me? So the doctor said, I was embarrassed from you. I didn't want to upset you that you need a surgery to remove the growth. As a smart doctor like this will not be able to be a doctor anymore. So to be a speaker or to be a rabbi, it's a spiritual doctor, which is much more important. Why? Because a doctor can save you from 20 years of death. Instead of dying, you have 20 more years to live. That's it. He made you a favor. He saved you. He gave you 20 more years of life. But a rabbi that taught you the truth about the purpose of life and where you're heading after you leave here, and you listen, you'll never have enough to take him back. The Torah says if a person has his father in jail and his Rabbi in jail, but he have only enough money to redeem one of them, who does he have to redeem first? His Rabbi. That's the truth. And his father has to thank him for that he didn't come to thank him. Why? Because the Torah says your father brought you to this world when it's temporary, and your Rabbi will bring you to the world of eternity. That's why you owe him a lot more. Now, I'm not the rabbi of anybody here. I'm only a speaker. I only read. Believe me, I'm not even a speaker. I'm just a reader. I just read. That's why I like the projector. Why? Because if I speak without the projector, people may get the impression that I make up ideas. Therefore, especially to Israelis, when they read Hebrew very good, I always put it for an hour on a screen. And they want to believe. They don't want to believe. They have no choice. I only read. That's it. So let's read. Someone who violates the rules of Shabbat. What's his punishment? Stoning like a goy that worship the stars. I want to explain you, there are two sins in Judaism that are very severe. One is violating Shabbat, and one is bowing down to idols or to the stars or to the sun, like all the cults used to do. And it's an equal sin. The punishment are equal, and the restriction and the violation is equal, with only one exception when we're going to see soon. But it's very interesting. Why? Because there are 4 different kinds of execution in the Torah. Execution is taking a person that violated the rules and finding 2 witnesses testify against him. After they investigate the witnesses and their testimony were equal, separately they investigate each one in a separate room, and the testimony was exactly the same, they execute the person. But first, one more thing, they have to give him a warning. So that means, if me and my friend will walk in the street, if today we would have the Jewish court like 2,000 years ago, so if we see a Jew watering his grass on Shabbat, which is one of the violations, you're not allowed to do it. And we will tell him, hey, don't you know it's Shabbat today? Why are you doing this on Shabbat? So he said, oh, it's Shabbat, I'm not allowed? No problem, I'll stop. So he shut the water. If we come now 2 hours later and we see he does it again, second time, there's no more, I forgot, I didn't know. Why always you have to give him warning? Because you have to give him the benefits of the doubt. Maybe he's a fool. Maybe he doesn't know the laws. Maybe whatever, Or maybe he forgot. So now you warn him. Now if you come 2 hours later and he does not water the grass, but he sits in his front yard and smoke a cigarette, that's another violation of Shabbat. So now you have to give him again a warning, because it's a different violation. It's not you may say, well, we already warned you that it's Shabbat today, so you stop this, you're doing something else. He may say, oh, you told me that, I stopped. I didn't know I'm not allowed to smoke. Then you come back another hour, you see him slaughtering a goat. Don't you know you're not allowed to slaughter on Shabbat? No, I didn't know, and so forth and so on. There are 39 restrictions on Shabbat, which more than 20 of them does not apply to us anymore. Like I said, we're not butchers, we're not farmers. A lot of those laws applies only to specific people. Today, to be an observant of the Sabbath is much easier than before, because in the old days, everyone was a farmer. Everyone had vegetables and fruit in his yard. So they had they couldn't do those laws. We buy the vegetables ready. So right there, we have a lot of them. Soon we're going to see the list that does not apply to us. So comes the Torah and says, there are 4 different kinds of execution. Who knows the 4 methods of executions of the Jewish Beis Din? Who knows them? What are the 4 executions? Anybody knows? Stoning is the worst one. What comes after? Huh? What comes after? Burning. What comes after? Huh? Sword and choking. Now, briefly, real brief, how they used to do it. Let's start with the choking. The choking was that they take a string, two people, and they go around his neck, one pull from one side, one pull from the other, until the person choke. Today we don't have the Jewish court, so God make the people drown in the ocean. Same thing, drowning, same thing, is choke, or gas, or explosion, or anything like this, or smoke. That's a replacement. The Torah say even though the 4 executions are dismissed because there's no Sanhedrin, there's no Bet HaMikdash, even though God is doing it himself to the people. Why? Based on what they're guilty of. Then the sword, they used to come the sword and chop his head. And today, people, how do they get sword? Either somebody shoot them, it's like a knife, a sword, or a stabbing, or that, God forbid, something like an explosion and their head went off like we see in the suicide bombers, or anything like this. This is a replacement for this kind of execution. Then we had burning. The burning is not what you think, that you throw a person into the fire. No, it's much worse. They take a big ball, a size of a tennis ball, and it's made from metal, lead, I should say lead. They heat it up in a fire until it becomes all red, and they take a plier and open up the mouth of the person and throw it inside his throat. That's burning. And remember, this is the laws of God. People didn't make up those laws. It's in the Torah that we got in Mount Sinai to do it to the wicked people who have the nerve to violate the rules of God and to rebel against Him. After all, what He does for them. And the worst one is stoning. What's stoning? Stoning is not that you come and throw stones at the person. You take him to a hill, like let's say 3-4 floors building, that's the size of it, and you push him from the hill all the way and he falls. And then sometimes he dies right there. If he's still alive, they take a huge rock and they roll it from the hill right on his body and smashed him to butter. And if he's still alive, for instance, if he chops half of his body and still alive, the people around, the residents comes with rocks and throw in his head and kill him. That's stoning of the Torah, and that's what God said to do to someone who light fire on Shabbat. Now, why most people who do it today don't get it? Why they don't get it? They will get it. For every time they did it, they're going to get it. Now you may say, but how? The body will be in a grave. Remember what I said before? The Torah says God does not forgive anything unless if the person made repentance. The laws of repentance, you can watch it in the website. The laws of repentance are conditional to few steps. First, right away to stop doing that sin. That's step number 1. Step number 2, to feel terrible about all the years you made that sin. Step number 3, to ask God to forgive you for that sin. Step number 4 is every day that we pray, we have to reveal, we have to say with our words, Chatati, Aviti, I did, and this. Step number 5, Yom Kippur. When the first close Yom Kippur coming by, you have to take advantage on that day, because in that day it's a plea bargain. God is erasing of the sins. But if you come to Yom Kippur and you're thinking about the picnic you have on the next Shabbat, and you cry, I violate the rules of Shabbat, please forgive me. And in your mind you have, what barbecue I'm going to make in 3 days from now? Who are you fooling? Who are you fooling? Come to the judge, you promise him, please, I'm not going to kill anymore. I'm sorry for all the people I kill. I'm not going to kill. But he didn't know that the judge has a laser that he reads your mind. So you're already thinking about the list that you have coming next. And you tell the judge, I'm not going to kill. What's the judge going to do to you? Not only he won't forgive you, he will get you, he will be more strict than you, but you're fooling him in his face. Same thing, you come to Yom Kippur, I stole, I violate Shabbat, I did this. Oh, do you have a plan tomorrow to go to work? You sell ham in your supermarket to Jews. So when you come, God, please forgive me, I made the Jews eat pork. But tomorrow, you're planning tomorrow at 9 o'clock, you're going to open the store. So what's the point of coming Yom Kippur to cry? The first rule is first to stop. Now I have news for you. If one of you today, not you, If somebody hears that Shabbat is so strict, I didn't start yet, wait. If somebody finally today understood what's the importance of Shabbat for his eternity, for his children, grandchildren, for the entire descendants of his family, and he decided, that's it, I'm not violating the rules of Shabbat. Today is Thursday, and tomorrow morning he doesn't wake up, he dies. But today in his heart, he regrets that he did not keep Shabbat. He accepted right now that this coming Shabbat is going to keep 100%. He's going to call tomorrow to the rabbi to give him instruction what to do, how to do. That's what happened to me in New Orleans. A lot of them call, what should I do, how do I start, this, that. They don't know anything. No problem. God loves it. You don't know, now it's time to learn. So if he dies, he didn't make it to Shabbat, he got saved from all this. He did not keep one Shabbat in his life. Just the fact that in his heart he accepted truly not to violate Shabbat anymore, and he's ashamed of the way he did, what he did so far, and he didn't make it to keep even one Shabbat. He died. Already he's dismissed from all these punishments. And what's going to be, he's going to get reincarnated in Bnei Brak or Yerushalayim. His father going to be a nice Rabbi. Why? Because he passed that law. He passed that test. That's it. He made Shuvah on Shabbat. That's how great it is. But if he doesn't, now let's see. A Mechalel Shabbat, you should know, I once told you that, not here, in different place, you can watch it in the internet, that the 10 commandments are going from the most important one to the less important one. And the fourth law of the fourth commandment, you should keep the Shabbat and do not violate the rules of Shabbat. You should not kill, come only in the sixth place. That means in the eyes of God, the observance of the Sabbath is more important than you should not kill. What are you understanding with your intelligence from that? That if I would take a baby and bring to each one of you and tell him, listen, take a gun, a machine gun, and blow his head off. Jew, non-Jew, white, black, whatever you want, male, female, would you do it? Would you do it? No, be honest. Somebody here would do it for $1 million. Would you blow his head off? No, right? Normal person wouldn't do it if he's still a human being. But the laws of the Sabbath comes before. If he asks you, you must choose one of the two. You should hope that if you finally have to do a violation, it will not be Shabbat. How? Because the murderer, his punishment is easier than Mechalel Shabbat. In a Jewish court, if they caught a Mechalel Shabbos right now, and they caught a murderer, the murderer's punishment is easier. It's a sword. The third one. And Mechalel Shabbat is the worst one. Plus, a murderer can be a part of the minyan. He can be one of the 10 people who comes to prayer. Even though you know he's a murderer, but he keeps the laws of Shabbat. He doesn't drive, he doesn't write, he doesn't sew, and so forth and so on. But he killed people. Everybody knows. They saw him killing people. He could be, after 20 years of prison, he's a murderer. And when you ask him, you regret that you killed that person? He say, no. No. If I could, I kill him again. He can be a part of the minyan, this crook. This despicable murderer. The law say he is not dismissed from the minyan. If you have 9 people, and you need a 10th one to take out the Sefer Torah in Kol Nidre and Yom Kippur, he is a part of the minyan. But a nice doctor from the street, a judge, a beautiful person, sponsoring all kinds of nice things, but drives on Shabbat, he cannot be a part of the minyan. That's the halacha. Halacha in Shulchan Aruch, with no exceptions. Did you know that? Who knew that? Should raise his hand. If a murderer signed as a witness in your ketubah when you got married, he signed as a witness that he saw that you put the ring on your wife's finger, you are married. If the judge in the Supreme Court, this Jew, comes and he signed the ketubah, but he's not keeping Shabbat, you're not married. You have children, they're children out of the marriage. Your wife doesn't need a get. She one day wants to leave, she comes and says, listen, I just found out that one of the witnesses were not Shomer Shabbos. According to the Torah, someone who is not Shomer Shabbos exclude himself from the nation of Israel, therefore he cannot be a witness, who cannot participate in any holy ceremony. If you don't believe it, you're going to see the sources now. Here. Mechalel Shabbat, execute by stoning, like a person who worship idols. As the Torah says, it's an agreement between me and you for generations, to know that I'm the God that sanctify you. And the Torah also says, make a temple in your heart for me, that I should come live in your heart, inside every Jew. Because the holiness of God is inside the heart. If God forbid a Jew is violating Shabbat, he removes the agreement from himself and the sign, and shows that the inside of his heart, God, a Jew is not living anymore, that believes in God. Therefore, the Torah says, Chazal, someone who violates Shabbat is like violated the entire Torah. The Torah is worthless for him. Why? Because the most important thing in the Torah, you don't care. Who are we to believe you that you care about the others? If someone cares about God, first he's worried about the most important things. Then he goes into the less important. If he doesn't care about the most important law, I give you an example. There's a law that if a person has a store that opens on Shabbat, everything over there you're not allowed to buy from him. Even if it's glad kosher meat. He show you the bag, Rubashkin, here. Go across the street, he close on Shabbat, the same Rubashkin. Cannot buy from him. Why? Because you cannot trust him. Why you cannot trust him? If he doesn't care about his eternity, about himself he doesn't care. He's such a sadistic person. He knows that the Torah told him you'll be cut for eternity, and he doesn't care. His children will suffer because of him, and he doesn't care. He cares about you, that you eat kosher food? Why does he care about you? He doesn't care about himself. He doesn't care about anybody. That's the truth. Unless if he doesn't know that. If he doesn't know, it's a different story. But a lot of people do know and continue. And the Rambam, Maimonides, 850 years ago, the head posek in the last 1,000 years. It's a fact. It's one of the principles in our hand, that a violator of the Sabbath in public is exactly like a person who bow down to the idols. 100%, no difference. Like the Chinese or the Indian that bow down to his statue and give him flowers every day. Exactly the same. And the Rambam continue. You have all the sources, you can write it down. If you don't understand, come, I'll give it to you in English. The Sabbath and worshipping idols, each one of them is equal like all the other commandments in the Torah. And the Sabbath is the covenant, the agreement between God to us. Therefore, someone who violates one of the laws of the Torah is wicked. He doesn't want to eat kosher. He doesn't want to put tefillin. He's wicked. But someone who violates Shabbat, he is like a worshipper of the idols. And they both 100% goyim, non-Jews, in the eyes of God. So someone who doesn't keep the laws of Shabbat for God, there's no difference between him and Ahmed. No difference between him and Chris. Because that's the truth. And that's the truth. And everybody here should understand that in the Sephardic communities, until 3 generations ago, it was impossible to find someone who's not Shomer Shabbat. The market was closed already Friday afternoon, not one store open. Everybody, if somebody wanted to smoke a cigarette, he would have to go to the orchard to hide, to smoke a cigarette, wait an hour that the smell would go away, refresh himself, and come back to town. Nobody dared to do it. I spoke to old people. We have in Muncie Yemenite people that just came 5, 6, 7 years ago from Yemen. I asked one of them, tell me, since you remember Yemen, since you're a kid, 40 years, did you ever saw in Yemen one Jew that did not keep Shabbat? One. He started to laugh. Is you crazy? We have almost 3,000 years. In Yemen, not one Jew violated Shabbat. One! Not one! It was so clear because we were ready. We learned Torah. We had nothing else. We didn't have televisions, goyim around us to teach us all these bad things. Even the goyim in Yemen will get upset if we violate Shabbat. Because we live exactly like the time of the Torah. It went from generation to generation. Not one of them. When they went to Israel, all of them almost became Mechalelei Shabbat. Why? Because the Zionist movement told them the Mashiach already came. You came to Israel, don't worry. And they forced them to go work on Shabbat. That was the law. You want to get a red card? They came from Russia, the communists, and they brought all the laws of the communist Russians to Israel. And communism is anti-religion, if you know what it means. We're going to help one another. We don't believe in any God. So they made a law that you got to get the red card if you want to find a job. Without the red card, nobody gives you a job. Now, the Yemenite, Saadia, that came from Yemen with 11, 12 children, they put him in a ma'abara, in a tent, leaks, rain on him, freezing weather. Now they say, Saadia, you want to get the red card? You got to come in a kibbutz. You have to work on Shabbat. He said, how can it be I work on Shabbat? Cut tomatoes on Shabbat? It's impossible. Well, it's against the Torah. They said, okay, you don't come, you don't get a card, no money, no food. So one Shabbat he didn't come, second Shabbat he didn't come, the third Shabbat his kid's going to starve to death. What does the Torah say? Pikuach nefesh doche Shabbat. If you have a life risk, you're allowed to violate the rules of Shabbat. They went to work. 2 generations after, the jails in Israel are full of Yemenites, transvestites, homosexuals, hundreds of them, thousands of them, murderers, robbers, people who don't even believe God exists. Only 2 generations later, the grandson of this righteous Saadia, the Rabbi from Yemen, became a murderer in jail. The jails are full of them. Why? They cut them from the tradition of 3,300 years. Each one of us, by the way, it's the same thing. By us, it wasn't, nobody really forced us physically like they did in Israel, but they forced us mentally by giving us all this thing around. We grew up that it's normal, perfectly fine. I once asked a person, tell me, I want to ask you a question. If your son will bring home a friend that is the son of the murderer of Yitzhak Rabin, well, Igal Amir, his son, now it's the son, you know. So one day, somebody will bring that son to play with him in his house. What's going to happen to the parents? Who you brought here? You couldn't find another friend. Tell him not to come here anymore. They won't agree that the son of the murderer will come to play with their son. Even though they admit that it's not his fault. What is his fault? That his father is a murderer. Nobody will let him come into the house. But if the son will bring a son of Mechalel Shabbos to the house, how are you, sweetie? Come. But God said that his father is worse than his father. Why you don't care? Because we did not get the right education. We learned everything that the Goyim wanted us to learn, and we forgot the purpose of life. And now we look like this. When you look at me like this, you're thinking I'm crazy. Why are you thinking I'm crazy? I also used to think that people that used to say it are crazy. Why? Because when you grow up in school, nobody ever made a big deal out of a person who light a cigarette on Shabbat. It's perfectly fine. The highways are full of cars in Israel. It's perfectly fine. What do you mean? To kill? The teacher in the public school, they say, be careful from murderers. Be careful from thieves. Be careful from violent people. Be careful. They gave you a list of people to be careful. Nobody ever say, be careful from Mechalel Shabbos. The opposite. The prime minister is like this. The teacher is like this. She's teaching you Torah. And later she goes out and smokes cigarette on Friday night. But this is the way we grew up. What do you expect? Nobody ever understood how serious is that crime. Nobody understood. Now, by looking at the sources of Judaism, people are shocked. How come nobody ever told me that? It's not fair. If I knew it 20 years ago, I would do it then. Now, the Torah says, it's an halacha, that's the Mishnayot, Bartenura, 500 years ago. Every Jew that violates Shabbat is like a goy. You cannot make a eruv in the neighborhood with him. Same thing like a goy. Because of him, you cannot make a eruv. If you want to gather the neighborhood for the Jews to be able to carry things from the house to the street, he is ruining the plan. Why? It's like a goy living in your neighborhood. You got to pay him money to rent his partnership in the neighborhood. Like a goy. Like you do with a goy. If you have a goy live in a closed neighborhood, you got to come and say, look, each one of we have 10 villas in a neighborhood. Each one own 10% of the property. You come to the goy, you give him some kind of rent to rent his place for Shabbat, and we can make it our own property without him. We pay him for that. Same thing, you gotta come to a Jew that doesn't keep Shabbat like a goy. Here, take your money, we want to rent your place. Yes?
You said that the Yemenites had to end up working on Shabbat.
Right.
Because they couldn't feed their children.
Right.
So their children's life was at risk, so they were forced to wear Shabbat, and that's okay?
That's reality, yes.
And then you said if you had to, if someone gave you an option and you had to do one of them was to, the option was one of them was to kill the baby or keep Shabbat, you would have to keep Shabbat, or break Shabbat, right?
Right, so what's the question?
So shouldn't you not kill the baby because you're risking the life of someone? So it's okay to break Shabbat to them.
You're asking a very good question, and I will explain to the public what was really the question. The question is, we see throughout the punishments of the Torah that the punishments of Mechalel Shabbos is much worse than a murderer. The restrictions towards him is much worse. But yet, the Torah said that if a Jew has a life risk and he has to violate Shabbat in order for him not to die, he's allowed. But if, for instance, if a goy comes to you and say, here is a gun, kill another Jew, if not, I kill you, you're not allowed to kill another Jew. The reason for that is because life and death is only in the hand of the Creator, and we're not allowed to kill innocent people to save ourselves. We're not allowed. But that's a separate halakha. The same thing if he tells us to bow down to an idol, we're not allowed. Comes the Torah and says, the covenant of Judaism, the reason I gave you the Torah is for you to live. If the law make you lose your life, you are not obligated temporary to that law. Therefore, if the goy tells you if you don't violate Shabbat, I kill you, you're allowed to violate Shabbat. The word allowed is not correct. You must violate Shabbat. Must. If a goy comes with a gun, light a cigarette or I kill you. You light a cigarette. If you don't light a cigarette, God will punish you for committing suicide.
But your option was to kill the baby or break Shabbat.
No, I didn't make a comparison. If you have a scenario like this, what's better to do? I made clear, I was very careful not to make this comparison. I just wanted you to understand that killing a baby as opposed to lighting electric on Shabbat, lighting electric on Shabbat it's more severe sin. That's all. I didn't say that if somebody come and tell you which one of the two you choose, you say, you know what, I'm going to do this or that. Both of them are terrible. But I just wanted to compare the amount of punishments, one to the other, to show us what God really think about those two individuals. A murderer as opposed to Mechalel Shabbos. Now, a murderer, we justify it. What do you want? God is right. A murderer, he just blew up the head of the baby? Sure, you should execute him. What's the question? Mechalel Shabbos, to execute him? You crazy? What did he do? Poor guy. Smoke a cigarette, for that you want to kill him by such a cruel punishment? How do you know you God? You know the importance of the covenants? You know what does it mean to make a covenant for billions of years? Do you understand the concept of receiving oxygen from God and money and wealth and fruit and flavors and wife and children and everything that you have, health, billions of miracles every second in your body for 40, 50, 60 years, a prize in your hand for life of eternity of pleasure, and you come and spit in the face of God? That's normal? No, it's not normal. It's just ignorance. Once you compare between them, you're beginning to understand the difference. Right now, I don't expect from any one of you to understand that logically. Believe me, I don't. Because by me, after so many years, it's still hard to understand that logically. But the difference between me and you, perhaps, is that I already educated myself. Whenever I see black on white what the Torah ordered me, and my logic tell me the opposite, right away I take my logic and put it in a box. Then I'm going to do everything I can that my logic will be God logic, if it's possible. Sometimes it works. I'm going to now have a mission to understand why God told me this and not what I thought. That's a different story. Not always I'm going to be able to understand his logic, because it's a divine logic. But to say that I know better than him, because my teachers in public school, that's the way they educated me, because that's the way their teacher educated them, because that's the way the communists decided that this is the right way. Why? Let's move on, because time is running out. I have only a few more minutes left. So, I want to finish. Now, a Jew that worship idols, which means in today's world, bow down to Buddha in China or in India, right? Or a Jew that mechalel Shabbat in public. There's not one Jew in the world today that is only mechalel Shabbos inside closed rooms. Someone who violates Shabbat, that means he goes on a car, on a cab, on a bus, smokes on the street, speaks on a cell phone, bringing people into his house, the television is on. I never met and never heard of a Jew that goes into the closet and only then is violating Shabbat. Usually when you do, because there's no embarrassment anymore in this generation, like 2 generations ago. So a Jew that violates Shabbat and bring a sacrifice to the holy temple as a gift. He had a daughter. He wants to say thank you to God. So he went and took the best sheep, paid $500 for it. He bothered all the way to get to Jerusalem 2 weeks with his carriage, because remember, there was no train or cars. They have to go from Tiberia to Jerusalem. It could be 3 weeks even. Finally, he arrived to Jerusalem. He comes to the holy temple. The Kohen says, yes, can I help you? Yes. 2-3 weeks ago, my wife gave birth to a baby. I came to sacrifice a thank you for God. So I say, I'm sorry. You just arrived. The people here say that they saw you riding on a horse on Shabbat. You mechalel Shabbat. I cannot accept your gift to God. Next to him, stand Mr. Maharaji, the Indian idol with his Buddha in his hand. Everybody see that he just kissed Buddha now, and he brought also a goat to Bet HaMikdash. This is the halakha. You accept from the goy, you don't accept it from the Jew. He's worse than him. That's the halakha. It's halakha. It's nobody can contradict the laws that God gave us in Mount Sinai. This Indian, despicable human being that kissed the idol that he made yesterday in his factory, he kissed him. He believes he is bringing him wealth and parnasa. He can bring a sacrifice to Bet HaMikdash, and the nice Jew, the lawyer, doctor, judge, engineer, whatever you want to call him, wants to bring God a gift. God says, I don't need your gift. Get lost, you and your gift. Cannot bring it. That's the truth. But is bother you or not? How can it not bother you? If you know that's what your Creator think about you. So what's the options now? I live with that. I continue to smoke. I continue to talk on the phone and watch few games once in a while. I continue to cook on Shabbat. And this is what I'm going to be subject to. Compare if it pays or not. Then continue the Torah and says like this. Someone who worship idols or mechalel Shabbat, he is rebelling against the entire Torah and against Moshe Rabbeinu. And if he slaughtered an animal, glad kosher, according to all the laws, with the right knife, but he's not Shomer Shabbos, the animal is not kasher. You have to throw it or give it to the Arabs. Cannot eat from it. It's not kosher. But Rabbi is the best butcher, the best slaughterer in the world. Look how nice he knows how to do the laws. He learns it, he's perfect. But he's not keeping Shabbat. It's shchitato nevela. You got to give it to the goy. Here. Then Rambam again. A Jew that worship idols or mechalel Shabbat, you cannot accept korban from him. Even korban olah. When you accept it from the goyim, don't accept it from this despicable person. This is the word of one of the most important people ever lived. In Washington, the goyim has a statue of Maimonides, the Rambam. One of the 18 smartest people ever lived. The truth, the goyim doesn't know all the chachamim from the Gemara. If they knew them, they would fill up Washington with statues of rabbanim, of all the rabbis. They only knew Rambam, that is so great. But this is the word of the Rambam. In Israel, every city, there's a street Rambam. Hospitals, Rambam. Schools, Rambam. Why? Rambam was one of the greatest philosophers in history. The greatest doctor, astronomer, mathematician, scientist, everything. All the kings of the world came to his place to ask him for advice. He was the cardiologist of the king of Egypt. He arrived to Egypt after escaping from Spain, after showing Christians that the religion is foolish. He had to escape. He came, finally arrived to Egypt. When he arrived to Egypt, he came to a mosque on a Friday, and he hold a bottle of wine, and he say, if a Muslim will touch this bottle of wine, even to the dog, the Jew cannot give it. We have to throw it to the garbage. It's yain nesech. So the Muslims got very angry. They grabbed him. In the old days, the court was the king. They took him right away to the king for a trial. And the king say, who are you? He said, I just arrived today from Spain. And I said, what do we hear? You just arrived here today and you have the nerve to come and say what you said? He said, come on, your majesty, you really believe this nonsense? I only wanted to meet you in 2 hours instead of wasting 20 years until we get together. I wanted them to bring me to you, so I started to scream all kinds of foolish things. Test me, see who I am. Remember, there was no communication, no media. They didn't know there in Egypt who is Rambam. Once he arrived there, after 5 minutes, the king saw he's the smartest person on earth. When he put him in his palace, and he was taking care of his relatives, family, as a doctor. You read the life of the Rambam. And the most important thing, he is the top posek in Jewish halakha. All the Shulchan Aruch is based on his psakim. And here, what do you see? He called a Jew that doesn't keep Shabbat a meshumad. You know what's the word meshumad? Like despicable human being. Don't accept this thank you from him. From the Goy, yes, the Goy is not a criminal. Yes, he bowed down to the idol, he is a criminal. I take it back, he is. But not as bad as this Mechalel Shabbos. Was the Goyim not allowed to bow down to the idols? If you ask a person, what are you going to choose? To suffer embarrassment and poverty all your life, or to be crazy and a fool, don't have a brain to think? Which one of the two you choose? For sure you would say it's better to be poor all your life than everybody will call you a fool, an idiot, and the kids will run after you in the street and pull your shirt or your kilt and will point at you as a crazy person. Now listen, my brother, to what the Torah and the sages are saying. It's better for a person to be a fool all his life, non-stop, 100 years of foolishness, and not to be 1 hour wicked in front of God. And the answer for it, the reason for it is because the suffering in hell are more difficult than all the suffering on this life. And if a person will do such a thing, he would rather suffer all his life here than not. Everybody point, here's this crazy Meshugine, here he is, who wants this kind of life. And when a person makes sins, sparks of his soul are leaving his body slowly, slowly, until it's possible that after a period of time, all his soul will leave his body completely. The spiritual holy part of the soul, which is a spark of God. And a person does not feel what he lost. If a person is honest with himself, because the way of a person, whatever he does, that's the truth. He doesn't follow the truth. What he does, he will justify himself in those who follow him. That's the right way, because he thinks he's right. And he does not see his problems and his mistakes until he gets to a point that he's even there to violate Shabbat. All his life, and his heart convincing him that it's okay. It's okay, don't worry. So what? You're one of millions. So what? I'm not the only one who doesn't keep Shabbat. Rabbi, look, there's 2 million Jews like this in Israel. So I'm one of them. That's what he's talking about. Because the evil inclination make his way dark and put nonsense in his mind and make everything kosher in his eyes. It's okay. No big deal. God will understand me. Look where I grew up. All kinds of excuses from here until the end of the world. When a wicked person lost an object, he lost his wallet, we must return the lost object to the Jew. Even if he's wicked. He's wicked. But someone who eats not kosher on purpose, which means if you give him pork and glad kosher steak, on purpose he will eat the pork, even though the steak is just as good, the kosher one. That's what they're talking about. On purpose to get everybody angry, he does it. And someone who violates Shabbat is apikos. Apikos means rebel against God. You're not allowed to return the lost object to him. You hear that? You don't have to. You're not allowed. You understand what we're talking here about? If I find a wallet full of $1 million in it, and I see a driver's license inside, Moshe Cohen, I look at the picture, hair, earring here, tattoo here. I say, you know what? Maybe it's an old picture. Maybe by now it became Shomer Shabbos. Let me go to the address and see who he is. I come to the neighborhood with a bag full of $1 million. I ask the people over there, you know Moshe Cohen? Yeah, he lives right here. Tell me, where is he today? Oh, he went to the beach with his car. He drives. He drives on Shabbat. Yeah, for sure. He's not religious. I just won $1 million. I take it for myself. But if he tells me no, he comes to shul every Shabbat. Sure. Huh?
What you were doing with the $1 million? That's
When I say today, I meant he came Motzei Shabbos. What do you think? He came with the money on Shabbat to look for him? He came to shul this morning. He comes to shul, he's Shomer Shabbos. Even he looks like this. I must return it to him. But if he doesn't keep Shabbat, now let's say I'm a decent person. I want to be nice. You know what? He's not Shomer Shabbos, but I'll give him the money anyway. I made a sin. Because the Torah didn't say you don't have to return. There's a difference. Sometimes by the Goyim, the Torah say you're not allowed. The Torah say you don't have to. You do. It's up to you. But you don't have to. That means if you don't do, you're not going to get punished. Here it says, Asur. Not allowed to return him the wallet. Not allowed. But you know what the halacha by the Goy? The Goy is you're allowed to return him the wallet. Goy. You don't have to. He lost it. It's his problem. I don't have an obligation to look for him a week where he is to return the wallet to him. But if it's a Jew, Shomer Shabbos, I have to search for him all over to return him the wallet. Because that's what God ordered me. If it's Shomer Shabbos. To look around, ask, drive, take my horse, look for him all over, lose a day of work to give him back his wallet. But if I found that he's not Shomer Shabbat, I just got lucky. What are the things that call melacha? The Torah says you should not do any melacha. What does it mean melacha? When we read in the written Torah, there's no explanation.
the money, I'm sorry, but you have to return it. You have to
Didn't I just show you what?
you keep it or... Okay, you're not return, you're not allowed to
You keep
return
it, it's yours. It's like you found the wallet of a goy, same thing. It's yours. You find the wallet of a goy, John Smith, Bill Clinton. You see Bill Clinton in the driver's license. You take the wallet. It's yours. Okay? One time I had a student. She paid few $1,000s for a semester in college. And I told her, forget about the money you paid. I want you to come to Yeshiva in Brooklyn. There's Midrashia for girls. Because she already became Shomer Shabbos. She started wearing skirts. Going to this college with all the goyim, it wasn't something good for her. So I told her, you know what? She said, but I pay a few $1,000s for the semester. I said, what, you think God has problems sending you back your money? Why do you worry about the money? First do the right thing. 2, 3, 4 days after, she used to live in Manhattan. You know what was her job? They put her as supervisor of 6 models. Young models that came to New York from all kinds of places. She's in charge of them in a house. Like a nanny. And they're all goyot. She's in charge of them. She was also like a goya until she came to the lectures. And then she became religious, and she wants to now to go to college. So then after a few days she calls me up. You're not going to believe what happened. I found a bag. I open up the bag full of money. How much money? She says, exactly what I paid for the college. I say, see, God sent you the money that you should come to Mizrachi. What that genius did, she found the goy where he is and returned him the bag. and never came to the Midrashia. See, Hashem send you the money back. She thought she's smarter than Hashem. Hashem said, if you found it, it belongs to a goy, it's yours. You want to do Kiddush Hashem, you have a lot of money, no problem. Come to the goy, put a yarmulke on, make sure, put a big star David here that the goy won't have any mistake. He know you're a Jew. Make sure he knows you're a Jew. Because if you return him the money and he didn't know you're a Jew, you have nothing. At least when he see the Jew return him the money, that's called Kiddush Hashem. Now, what are the things that we're not allowed to do on Shabbat? There are 39 avot melacha that when a Jew does them, it's stoning. If he does it on purpose, and also karet for the soul, cutting for the soul. And if he did it not intentionally, he has to sacrifice a goat to Bet HaMikdash because he violated the rules of Shabbat not intentionally. What does it mean not intentionally? Two explanations. Whether he forgot his Shabbat, he was on a boat, and he miscounted the days. You know, in the old days there were months on a boat. He was all with Goyim, and he forgot if today is Shabbat or tomorrow. And by mistake he did on Shabbat, he boiled water or something like that. And later he found out that he violated the rules of Shabbat. He has to sacrifice a goat, ask God to forgive him for that not intentional sin. Or that he violated the rules of Shabbat because he did not know that it's not allowed on Shabbat. He didn't know you're not allowed to write. By mistake he wrote. Now he found out, he takes a goat and sacrifices it, and the sin is dismissed. Let's see, before we finish, what are the 39 things you're not allowed to do on Shabbat. I'm going to translate. Plowing the ground before you put seeds. You make lines on the ground, holes, you plow the grounds. Not allowed to do, like I said, does not apply to us because we're not farmers. So right there, one less.
But you can't garden then.
Huh?
You can't garden, you can't plant your plants.
No, in your garden. You're right. In your garden, you're not allowed. One day a week, you don't do it. You do it Sunday. What happened? It has to be on Shabbat? Okay, Harisha. Zriya, putting seeds in the ground. Even if you did the preparation, you plowed the ground before, but now on Shabbat you just want to take the grass seeds and throw, you're not allowed. Or in a plant, to put in a plant, or you take avocado seed and put it in the ground, or things like this, you're not allowed to do on Shabbat. I'm sure we can live without it. We don't have to do the grass on Shabbat. It's not so difficult. So far, 2 are easy. Let's see how many of them are difficult. Then to cut weeds, pull out from the ground, cut the grass, cut from the trees, all things like this, cut flowers and so forth and so on, also not allowed. I'm sure we can live without it. Making piles, bundles of wheat after we cut, they used to make bundles. Maybe it's the time now to say, how do we know all this list? The Torah, the written Torah did not specify all of them. Only the oral Torah. The written Torah did not write. But the written Torah say one very interesting thing. There is a list of 39 things that you have to do to prepare the Mishkan. What's a Mishkan? A temporary holy temple, portable. That as they walked from Egypt 40 years in circles in the desert, from one station to another, every few years or few months, depend on the order of God, they got to take the portable tent, which is the holy temple, temporary one, take it to pieces, and go put it together in another place. But there were 39 things that they used to do in order to prepare it. They have to cook, they have to take to grind seeds, and take the powder. The powder used to give colors. They used to boil water, mix it, make color, paint the tent in beautiful colors. There's a whole process. Comes God to Moshe in the Torah and say, all these things I just told you, how to make the portable house of God, the Mishkan, cannot prevent the holiness of Shabbat, which means cannot be done on the Sabbath. So how do we know all these things? There's a list of things how to make the portable temple, and in the end it says, Et mikdashi tirau, make sure you fear my house and respect it. But Shabbat is higher. You cannot prepare it on the Sabbath. And another place in the Torah, the nation of Israel brought something to Moshe, and he told them, no, not today. Today it's Shabbat. You cannot prepare the Mishkan. So from that's one of the sources. There are many other sources. We have a whole Mishnah that God gave it especially to Moshe in Mount Sinai. So we know it from a different source also. But in the written text, this is how you learn. And so I say, cutting the weeds or anything that you cut, making bundles after you cut, it's not allowed. Disha means heating it to get the seeds out of the cover. We used to heat it, so you're not allowed. Throwing it in the air, taking like shovel and throw it in the air because the wind used to make all the garbage fly.